my channel. My name is Erica, and in today's video, I'm going to be ranking for you guys the eyeshadow palettes that I use throughout the month of March. There are 17 slots this month, and of course, I did get this idea from Smiley Shawnee. She does a weekly roundup on her channel. I've thought about doing a weekly roundup, but I don't know, I've just been sticking with the monthly roundup. Of course, I will have a link to Shawnee's channel in my description box. Please go and subscribe to her channel if you have not yet already. She is amazing and very special to me. So I think out of all the palettes that I used throughout the month of March, there were only 2 looks that I created not in a video, that I didn't film the look. So what I'll do is I'll show you the palettes, of course, explain to you why they're ranked where they are, how I feel about the palettes, and also I'm going to pop up pictures of the looks that I created with each of these palettes. So let's get started with the lowest ranked palette, and that is the Lost in Los Angeles from BH Cosmetics. Now I did do a collab with this time around? No, it was pulled into a Throwback Thursday video. Okay, never mind. Oh, geez, that might happen a lot throughout this video because my brain is not always with me. Now, I do really like this palette. It's a beautiful pastel color story. It's just that in terms of some of the other palettes I use throughout the month, this one just ranked at the bottom. There's nothing wrong with this palette per se. It's just that pastels aren't always what I gravitate towards. And there's not a lot of depth in here, but it is a lovely palette in its own right. Really nice formula, beautiful tones in here, very nice quality, really easy and fun to put looks together with this palette. It's just that the look that I created, just out of all the looks I created throughout the month, just wasn't my favorite. So that's the only reason why this is ranked in the lowest spot. Number 16 is a combination of 2 things. I did not film this look. I think I just put my makeup on and then filmed a video with the look already on. I started off by using mattes out of the Certify The Tropical Wonders palette. This is an all matte palette that I'm absolutely madly in love with. Steph sent this palette to me, and you know, of course I thought I would like it. I didn't realize how much I would love it. It's so fun to put looks together with this palette, especially if you're using a single shimmer, which I did for that look. And, you know, everything just works so well in here. The mattes are so pigmented and blend so well. And I'm really bummed out that I wasn't a big fan of Certify when the brand was still in business, because I probably would have bought all their palettes. But really happy that Steph sent this to me because I'm just loving playing with it. And for the look, I grabbed this shadow right here from Davina. This is called Starfire. It's this beautiful kind of red and like, I don't know, purpley shifting single shimmer. It's beautiful. I love it. I love Davina eyeshadows. I'm a huge fan now after trying several of their shadows. But in terms of some of the other Davina shadows that I have and just the other looks that I put together for the month of March, I don't know, this just didn't wow me as much as some of the other singles I have from this brand. And the look that I put together, it was very pretty. It was nice, just not one of my fave looks that I created for the month of March. Nothing to do with the quality of this or how I feel in my heart about it. It's just that, you know, maybe just not as exciting as some of my other looks. Number 15 belongs to the Odins Eye Sea Talk palette that they did in collaboration with Lauren May Beauty. Such a fun packaged palette. I think it's gorgeous. And Jen from Jen Beauty sent this to me, and I've only used this palette once. Actually, I didn't film the look with this either. I did a look talking about my top 20 spring eyeshadow palettes, and I got that idea. I got inspired to do that from Andy and Leanna's collab videos. And Leanna had talked about a smoky spring look. And I was like, oh, that sounds amazing. And I just felt like this palette would give me smoky and spring, and it definitely did that. Really enjoyed the look that I put together with this. I think the thing that kind of stumped me about that look is that I put the shimmer across my lids, and it's very pink in the pan, but on my eyelids, it shifted to like blue and purple. You could see the pink in some lighting, but not as much as I thought I would. And it was a beautiful shade. I mean, nothing wrong with the shade. I wanted more pink, and that's not really what I got out of the palette or out of that shade. But this is gorgeous. Really excited to use it again. I think it's a lovely palette. I've only used it the one time, and so I guess that's pretty much why I ranked it where I did. Number 14 is the Wayne Goss. Hold on just a second. the Pearl Moonstone Luxury Eyeshadow Palette. And my dear friend, Janny Boo, Jan Van, of course, I'll link her channel in my description box as well. She gifted this to me. We were chatting on a Marco Polo, and she was talking about her Wayne Goss palettes. And I'm like, you know, I'm so cheap, and but I've always wanted to try this brand, always. And the next thing I knew, that sweetheart sent this to me. And this is absolutely stunning. I was really impressed with how the mattes in here performed. The shimmer shade that I use, this one right here, was just gorgeous. And I will say that the look stayed the same throughout the day. Like when I left for work, when I got home from work, everything looked exactly the same. And this is gorgeous. And it's really fun to have a luxury eyeshadow palette in my collection. I feel very fancy. Why did I rank this lower? I've only used it the one time, and in terms of its color story, even though it's absolutely gorgeous, I just felt like I have some maybe more exciting color stories in my collection that I use throughout the month of March that'll obviously be in this video. But really, this is a lovely palette, and very thankful that Janny sent it to me. Number 13 is the Unearthly Not Normal palette, and this is such cool packaging. Love this. Now, I got this palette because Leanna and Andy and Ash and I were chatting in our group chat on Instagram, and Unearthly was having a really good sale. And I've wanted to get more from this brand. So I asked them, like, what is your favorite Unearthly palette? And Leanna's like, the Not Normal. I highly recommend you picking that up. And she and I actually did a collab together creating eye looks with this palette. And that was so fun, and talked about why we're not normal. And the reasons, or the examples I came up with were so dumb, so lame, because there's so many weird things about me, so many not normal things, and I'm thrilled that I'm not normal. I don't ever want to be normal. But I will say that I do really like this palette. However, I was a little thrown off by the shimmer formula in here. It wasn't as opaque as the shimmers are in the Strawberry Milkshake palette that I have from this brand that I just love. They're a little bit more, I want to say effervescent, but that's not really the right word. Airy, maybe, or just not as opaque, not as impactful. The mattes that I used, I thought were really nice. They were very pigmented, blendable, all the things you want in a matte shade. But the shimmers that I used, what did I use? These 3, is that right? Or I can't even remember what shimmers I used. I know I used this one. I know I used that one. I think I used that too. I don't know. I just wanted more from the shimmers. Of course, I will keep playing with this palette, use all the shades in here, all the shimmer shades. I don't think I used all of them in that video. And also, I didn't love the combination of shimmers I put together for my look. That, I don't know. I just was like, I wanted a do-over. Like, I would have loved to have just scrapped that video and refilmed. I just didn't have enough time. So yeah, I mean, I feel kind of strange ranking this 13th because I love this brand. But that's just where it is, and that's where it's going to stay. Number 12 is the Mini Love palette from Natasha Denona. Jenny also sent this palette to me as well. This is stunning. I really am discovering, now that I have more of the Natasha Denona palettes. Jan gifted me 4, this one included, of course. I'm really discovering how lovely Natasha Denona eyeshadows are. Mattes are so beautiful and pigmented and blendable. They just kind of blend themselves. And her shimmer shade is so beautiful, very classy and very elegant. And I really did like the look that I put together. I mean, this to me is a more neutral palette. You know, it's not like super over the top colorful, but just lovely tones, really pretty, very classy and elegant, which that's what I was going for. And I used this in a collab that I did with Jan and Shawnee. So that was really fun. And I'm thrilled that Jan is such a generous, kind, loving individual, because I just cherish the palettes that she sent me, all the things she sent me, the Rephr brushes she sent me. I love them. Number 11 is the BH Cosmetics Blueberry Muffin palette. Now, I did pull this into a Throwback Thursday video. I dedicated that to a newer subscriber here. Her name is Leona. She was asking me if I had this palette, and I said, Leona, I will pull this palette into my next Throwback Thursday video. Now, initially, I was going to do a palette bingo with this palette, and then I was chatting with Jan and Shawnee, as I typically do every morning, and Jan's like, wait a second. I'd like to pick some shades for you. Is that okay? I'm like, yes, Jan, pick some shades for me. And the shades that she chose out of this palette were not the blues. They were the more neutral leaning shades, but they're shades that I had never really used before. So that was really fun to get use out of shadows out of this palette that I just hadn't really gotten any use out of. I used these two shades, this shade, and then these two shimmer shades. And I loved how the look turned out. Loved it. And, you know, I was kind of a little nervous that Leona wouldn't love it because I think Leona was hoping I would grab the blue shades and put a look together with it. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to pull this back into my Throwback Thursday series at some point down the road and create a look with the blue shades in here. But I just love the mix of tones in here. The formulation of the shades works so well. There's a lot of fun textures in here. It's so beautiful. And this was a tough one for me to rank because I could have ranked it definitely in the top 10, but you know, just had some other palettes I felt deserved those spots more than this one did. Number 10 is the Stone Cold Fox palette from Colourpop. And this was hard for me to rank where it is because this is my favorite neutral palette that I have in my collection, and it's my favorite Colourpop palette for sure. I did not film the look with this. I just put the look together and then went out to dinner for my son's 22nd birthday. We celebrated, and I don't know, I just felt like this would be the perfect palette to create a look with. I was in a little bit of a hurry, and I don't know, this is just a palette I'll grab if I'm in a hurry because it's so easy to put looks together with this palette. Everything works well, everything goes together really well. I have heard some criticism about this palette that it's got a lot of repeat shades, and it kind of does, but that does not bother me because everything is just so lovely in here. It's the perfect neutral palette. Well, perfect cool toned neutral palette. I just love cool tones. So this is right up my alley. And, you know, I really could have ranked this one, but the palettes that's in the number 1 spot totally deserves it, okay? Number 9 is the Juvias Place Magic Mini Palette. And I did do a Throwback Thursday collab with Marina. I'll link her channel in my description box too. And this is a palette I've had in my collection for quite some time, but for whatever reason, I just don't use it a whole lot, but I love it. And I do not want to get rid of it because it's such a beautiful color story. I love the shimmers in here, especially. The shimmers are really what has my heart in this palette. But I think the mix of tones in here is really fun, and you can do so many things with this. And I did an all shimmer look. I had to show my love, my deep love and affection for the shimmers in this palette. This was so wonderful to use this palette again, and thrilled that Marina had it so that we could use it together. I love Marina. She's one of my dear friends. And this palette's very special to me. I you know, of course, running theme, need to use it more. Number 8 belongs to the Glam Light Kiss palette. Now here's the thing. I have used this now twice. The shadows that I have on my eyelids today are from this palette and really enjoyed playing with it today. Loved the look that I created. And I really did like the look that I created the first time I used it. But at first I was kind of like, I love it, it's nice, but does it really wow me? Does it wow me like the Scooby-Doo palettes do from Glam Light? I'm like, no, it really doesn't. You know, again, love the look that I created. I think everything worked really well. It's just, I don't know, I had really high expectations for this palette, just like I did with the Freddy Krueger ones. And I just thought, you know, I don't know. But as I was really thinking about it and looking at the other palettes I used and looking through the pictures of the looks that I created, I really maybe was a little too harsh on my initial assessment of this palette because it is really nice. It really is. And it's a gorgeous color story. I think it's perfect for Kiss. You know, very rocker, very glam, very cool. Really pretty tones in here. And I used, let's see, I used this shade here today, this shade, these are my shimmer shades, and, well, all 3 of these, this one, and this one. And then for my mattes, I used this shade and this shade. And everything worked very well. And I was a lot more impressed with the shimmers in this look today for whatever reason. I don't know. So I feel like I was a little too naughty, not very nice to this palette in the beginning, but I'm learning to love it more. I've only used it twice, but I really feel like the more use I get out of it, I'm going to continue to love it even more. Number 7 is the Nomad Cosmetics Berlin Underground palette. I did a 2 looks video with this. I will be doing a 2 looks video with my last Nomad palette I have in my collection, which is the Fire and Ice Iceland palette, I think next week. And, you know, this used to be my favorite Nomad Cosmetics palette. Now the Royal Europe has taken over that spot. But I will say that this still is one of my absolute favorite palettes from Nomad and my absolute favorite palettes in my collection. I love the earthy, grungy, vampy, sexy options that you have in this palette. And even though most of the shades in here are more satin in consistency, I really do like that about them because they do really perform like mattes, I would say. And, at first I was like, they're all satins? I don't know, because I didn't really have a lot of experience with makeup at that point, and, felt like you had to have a matte and a shimmer. And so, just becoming more familiar with satin shades, I just adore this palette. And I really liked both of the looks that I put together. I did a more funky look, and then I did a more neutral leaning look, and just, really easy to put the looks together. I think they turned out really nice. So yeah, again, this was not easy for me to rank this in the 7th spot, but I feel like I did a good job with it. I do. Number 6 is the Ace Beauté Nostalgia Palette. And I did do a collab with Wilma from the Wilma Finger Do Review, drag queen extraordinaire, and just so thrilled that we both have this palette in common so I could pull it out and use it again. It had been some time since I'd used this palette. And this is one of the most beautiful, vibrant, colorful palettes I have in my collection. And everything in here, I don't think I've used everything, but everything I've used out of here so far works just like a dream. The mattes are so incredible. The shimmers are opaque and buttery and just gorgeous. I don't know if this is one of their newer formulated versions of this palette or not. I got this in a BoxyCharm. I don't think so, but I don't know. It could be. What the hell do I know? And I just think this is perfect to pull in for spring or summer, maybe more for summer. And I know that you can do looks with whatever colors you want any time of the year. People get so bent out of shape about that. I'm like, calm down. It's just makeup, and it's fun to talk about what eyeshadows or palettes work well for the seasons. But you don't have to do that. Nobody's forcing anyone to do anything. This is something that I, need to add to the stack of palettes on my desk and use this a ton more because, I love colorful eyeshadows, and I'm getting my weirdness with pink eyeshadows is over, and there's some really beautiful pink tones in here. So yeah, just such a wonderful collab to do with Wilma. Number 5 is the Sample Beauty Jewel Tone palette. This was another palette I used for a Throwback Thursday video. And this is just an incredible palette. The formulation of the mattes and the shimmers, especially the shimmers, these two in particular, Moonstone and Diaspore, just exceptional, really lovely. And this is a UK indie brand that I don't hear really anyone talking about. And I think actually, did Steph turn me onto this brand? I'm pretty sure she did. We did do a collab, Sample Beauty palette collab, and I pulled this in, quite a while ago. And just thrilled that I discovered this brand. I wish I would hear more people talking about it. I have a few of their palettes, and every single one of them I just love, really love. The Blooming Lovely, some of the shades aren't necessarily my favorite formula, but it's a beautiful color story, and for the most part works really well, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about this one. And the thing is that every time I use this palette, I gravitate towards this shimmer or this shimmer. And my goal in that video, my Throwback Thursday video, was to create a look with some of the other shimmers in here. And I think I did use this one too. But these three, I don't think I've ever touched. Never touched those shimmers. That is ridiculous. So this, of course, needs more love in my collection, but I do highly recommend checking out this brand. These palettes are sold now on Beauty Bay. They don't have their own website, but check them out because I really do highly recommend their palettes. Absolutely. Number 4 is the Lure palette from Blend Bunny. This palette's one of my faves. This was not easy for me to rank either. And I would love to get everything that this brand makes because I'm a huge fan of this palette. This is the only palette I have from Blend Bunny, which seems ridiculous to me, but I have enough eyeshadow palettes. Now, I did do a voting situation on in my community tab on YouTube. I listed a few brands. This was one of them, asking what people's favorite brand is or are. I don't know. Out of the brands that I listed. And this one, the Blend Bunny won. So I will be doing a giveaway, a Blend Bunny giveaway soon. I did get a second paycheck from YouTube, and I always want to give those back to my subscribers. And so I'm going to get a few things from Blend Bunny in the next week or so and have a giveaway. So be prepared for that. It's going to be a Blend Bunny giveaway. But I did do a collab with Charlie. We were talking about Sephora Kids and Gen Alpha, and I loved the look that I created with this palette. I really did. It was really fun. The combination of shades I put together was just really nice. And everything in here just works so well. I mean, there's not one negative thing I could say about this palette. Not even remotely close. You know, everything just, the mattes are blendable and pigmented and just so saturated in color. Beautiful. And the shimmers are just this wonderful, opaque, buttery, dynamic formula. So much fun. And I'm really excited for the Blend Bunny giveaway. Now, the top three were really hard for me to rank, but I really do feel like I got it right. Number 3 is the Ladybug Glow End of the Rainbow palette. And you guys know I love this brand so much. And the brand is going to close down for a little while, but it sounds like going to reopen in the future, because this brand is my favorite brand. It truly is. I just love the formulation, the quality, the color stories. The shimmer formula is out of this world from Ladybug Glow, and the matte formula is equally as wonderful. But I really do love the Ladybug Glow shimmers, and I have all their palettes, I think, all the Ladybug Glow palettes, and this one did not disappoint me at all. I've only used it once. But I do think Steph and I are going to collab with this palette, or the Creatura palette, one of those, or both of them, who knows. So keep your eyes out. We're going to be doing collabs together, of course. But I just loved the unique color combination for a St. Patty's Day palette, because it's not just greens. We've got a lot of different beautiful options in here. And I loved the look that I created. Of course, I went with the greens, of course, because that's just what I do. And I wanted to do a traditional St. Patty's Day look. But this is really fun, and I'm looking forward to collabing with Steph or just using this again in the future. Number 2 is the Mandy Makeup Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening palette. Now, I will be filming with this again soon. I think either next week or the week after. Doing my Throwback Thursday videos, I don't know. I have to film those a couple days in advance, and then just, I don't know, kind of throws off my filming schedule. But I do really want to film with this again for you guys, because the look that I created with this blew my mind. I wasn't really prepared to love this palette as much as I did. But one use, and I think I used, what, 4 shadows out of here? And I'm like, just amazing, beautiful quality. This is a smaller indie brand. I love to show support to smaller indie brands. I feel like the mainstream brands, they get enough support. So my heart belongs with smaller indie brands. And this is just impeccable, stunning, stellar, spectacular, you know, all of it. Magnificent, fabulous, fantastic, terrific. It's so fun. And it's such a unique and beautiful color story. All the tones in here I really like, you know, like nothing turns me off. Nothing makes me go, I don't want to use that. I want to use everything out of this palette. In the number 1 spot is a combination of 2 things. Let me start off with the Colored Rain Wealthy Chic palette. Now, I know I've talked about this, but I'm going to say it again. I bought the set of these palettes from Colored Rain and put them in a giveaway. And when I saw this color story, I was like, I almost kept this palette for myself. And I was like, don't do that. You got it for a giveaway. So I just kind of kept an eye on the Colored Rain website. And this went on sale for $6.40. And I thought, I've got to own this. Even if this is not my favorite green palette, I don't care. It's, you know, so affordable, and it looks so beautiful. And I was absolutely blown away by how incredible the formula is in this palette. The mattes were just a dream to work with. Blendable and pigmented and just gorgeous. And the shimmers in here, I think actually this is the only shimmer I use out of this palette, right? So I can't really speak to both the shimmers, but this I put in my inner corner, and it was just gorgeous. And I cannot wait to put both shimmers, all of these shades, across both of my eyelids. I will be doing that at some point, of course. And I know I have a ton of green eyeshadow palettes. I have too many. More than one person needs, but I don't care. I'm thrilled that I have this. I highly recommend, if you're into green eyeshadows and you don't have this, for the price and just how incredible it is, I do highly recommend it. Now, for the shimmer I did use in that look, I grabbed the VIP Glitz and Glam Single Emerald Secret, and it's got this beautiful green and gold flip. And this is spectacular. I will say, is this my favorite single I have in my collection? I don't know. That's really hard, because I have some beautiful singles. Not a ton, but enough. You don't need a ton. But this is just so special. It really is. It's a very unique shade. I mean, I know there's green multichromes or duochrome shades out on the market, but this is very cool. It's just this lovely formula, really pretty shift. And I don't know, I was just thrilled with how my look came together. I knew I was gonna like the look, but I mean, I was in love with my own look. I really was. Alrighty, so those were all the palettes that I used throughout the month of March, ranked for you guys with pictures of my looks. This is so fun. I love to do this. It's just really fun to like look back through the month and kind of recap what I used, how I felt about what I used, and just really, really thrilled that Shawnee gave me this idea, and I will of course continue to do this. And I also like to see how many palettes I use throughout the month. That's really fun too. I think March, so far in the year of 2024, March had the most palettes used so far. So we'll see how the year continues to shake out. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your lives to sit down and watch this video. If you're new here and you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing, smash the like button, and of course, comment down below in the comment section. I love to chat with you guys there. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. I cannot wait to see you guys again in my next video. But in the meantime, please take very good care of yourself, be well, safe, happy, and of course, I'll see you soon. Bye.
Drop it.